in the record on the record in the Monique Cook. The court has had an opportunity to review the pre-sentence investigation report as well as the police report, and based on some statements that Ms. Cook made regarding her lack of wrongdoing in this particular matter, the court is very concerned about whether she understands the nature of why she's before this court. And in addition to that, it appears that she has made a determination that she is only going to do the minimum, which is pay fines and costs in this case. If that's the case, it is the court's position we may as well begin with the jail time already. Because the reality is that, first of all, I feel as though Ms. Cook misled the court with respect to what happened on that particular date.
Why do you say that, Your Honor?
I'm still talking, ma'am. Please don't interrupt me again. And that when I took this plea, she gave me the impression that what she did was one thing, and the police report indicates that it was something completely separate. She was driving through the neighborhood in a very erratic manner. She reported that someone had broken into her house when it was really her daughter that was going into her home. I feel as though she does not take this matter seriously, which is a very serious situation at this point. And I'm going to adjourn this case so that I can, one, get the video footage. And if I find that she has been dishonest with this court, there may be actual jail time involved in this particular case.
Yeah,
I'm still talking. I already want to interrupt me.
I apologize for that.
I already indicated when I was speaking earlier that I don't think you're taking this seriously, because your view of what happened that day versus what happens that day is completely off base based on what I have before me at this time. I'm going to review this footage. And if I continue to find out that that's the case, then we're going to be going in a very different direction with this case. I don't know whether you've been conditioned to believe that this behavior is appropriate because you're the mom and that makes it okay. But the reality is that it doesn't. So, having said that, if you think it's in your best interest to still speak, you may do so.
I do feel like I was out of character for reacting the way I did, but she had been being so disrespectful to me. And it was a lot. I had asked her prior to her coming to the house to wait till I got off work. And she knew that. Yes, ma'am.
You talk to your attorney before you say anything further, okay? And what I'm going to do at this point in time is I'm going to adjourn today's sentencing. I'm going to have it in person, and we can have a conversation in person and see how that goes, okay?
Your Honor, can I say something else, Your Honor?
Ms. Cook, I would advise you not make any further statements at this time.
Do you think I need to get a lawyer?
You have a lawyer.
I think I need a lawyer. Because you're not. Okay.
All right. And Ms. Nelson, you heard all your rights?
Yes, I have.
All right. And you signed this consent judgment. Do you have any questions regarding anything on this consent judgment?
Yes, I do. I personally feel like I'm being evicted for all the wrong reasons. I'm being evicted because someone harmed themselves in my apartment, a visitor.
I'm sorry, there was somebody. Hang on.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I just personally feel like I'm being evicted because they said no one could be assaulted in my apartment, but in this matter, someone accidentally assaulted their self, and that's why I'm being evicted. And also regarding flooding to the unit beneath me, that's an ongoing situation that's still going on even now, and it has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with Glencoe Hills and how they have their walls or whatever. So
Okay. I'll set aside the water issue for right now. What do you mean somebody assaulted themselves?
well, my kid's dad, he accidentally shot himself in my home in October. And then in November, I received an eviction notice. But they did investigate it. It's no ongoing charges. It was an accidental discharge of a firearm. And that's why I'm being evicted. I've been a resident of McKinley for 10 years now. So that just seems really unfair to me.
Okay, so again, I'm not dealing with the water issue, but then if you felt that way, why'd you agree to move?
Well, I didn't necessarily agree to move. I wasn't aware of my first court date. I missed it, December 15th. And then a few days ago, I received a letter in the mail stating that a demand for possession received for non-payment.
Let me stop you. I have before me a consent judgment that you signed. saying
Today?
that you move by the 26th.
Yes, I signed that today because I didn't want to go through the hassle of going through trial. But I mean, I'm just stating that I feel it's unfair, but we can proceed.
Well, ma'am, what do you want to do? Because if I sign this,
I don't want to go to trial and then I have less time to move. Like I have a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old daughter. Right now I have to move out of nowhere. It was never a non-payment situation. Hawk actually tried to pay on my behalf and Glencoe Hills would not allow them to. So now I'm left with an outstanding balance as well.
okay, and I get that part because I can't really accept it. But
I think you only have the 7-day health and safety notice, Your Honor.
that's right.
There was a simultaneous 1-month notice to quit. If we don't resolve it, we'll amend the complaint. But I was under the impression that Ms. Nelson and I had resolved it with the extension.
No, that's fine. I would like my extension, but I was just confused on the part when you said I violated the lease because someone was assaulted in my home, but is that still valid if they assaulted their self? I didn't assault anyone.
Okay, so first thing I'll say, you're responsible for your guest and their actions. Okay, that's going to be typical with any lease. But more importantly, I think the question that I have is, because I have this judgment in front of me saying that you'll move by the 26th. Do you want to move? Do you want me to sign this judgment? What do you wish for the court to do?
Of course, I don't want to move. I've been told I have to move. But if I were to take it to trial, would I end up with less time? That's more so my concern. Like if I were to take this matter to trial, would I end up with less time? Because I do feel like McKinley is very unprofessional and I do not feel like they're going about this in the correct manner, so.
Okay, so what do you want me to do?
We can just proceed, I guess. We can proceed, that's fine.
Is that are you going to be able to be out by the 26th?
I have no idea. I have no idea. It takes time to look for a home. I asked him for more time, but he
Hey,
just gave
ma'am, I'm really confused. You come in here, you think that what they're doing is unfair. You talk to Mr. Fink, and then you sign a consent judgment. Then you get here before me, and this is kind of running around in circles about what you want to do.
No,
So-
I don't mind proceeding and I can try my best to be out by the 26th. It doesn't seem like I have a lot of choices, honestly. So.
Your Honor, the 26th is a Friday. We had actually agreed on the 22nd. She asked if she could have more. I agreed to the 26th, which is 3 weeks from today. She had originally said she wanted 21 days. And because it's a Friday, we aren't going to submit anything to the court before the
Monday, yeah.
which she's going to get 4 weeks before we're done. And it's up to her.
I know. That's what I'm trying to ask.
Okay. That's
What specifically do you want me to do?
We can continue with the proceeding. That's fine.
Okay. Ma'am, you understand that this consent judgment that you signed indicates that you will vacate the unit on or before January 26, 2024. I'm going to change the date because it says 23 here, but
Who would do that?
I don't know. All right. Okay. You were explaining your 3-day right of rescission?
Yes.
All right. I need you to understand that if you believe that there's some confusion, misunderstanding as to your rights, you'd have to file a motion with the court within that time frame. But the most important thing, particularly given our discussion, I need you to understand about that is that doesn't mean that I would set aside this judgment. Because I'm giving you every opportunity to explain to me why you don't want me to sign this. And what you're telling me and what I'm hearing is that you wish for me to sign this judgment.
That's fine.
Is that what you want me to do, ma'am?
Yes, that's fine.
The judgment is signed. Ma'am, if you'd like a copy, you may pick one up at the front counter.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Hi, Your Honor. So I signed a conditional dismissal to vacate my parents' house by the end of January. I just wanted to write you a letter. I'd like to kind of make the case to you.
All right, you'll have to speak up, but go ahead.
I've had a difficult relationship with my parents for a long time. People can influence others to various degrees, especially within a parent-child dynamic. I once had a supportive dynamic with my mother before we moved, and she started to struggle with serious depression in and out of inpatient for most of my high school years. Once my mom was depressed, my dad took over. My dad is extremely dominant person. It could be quite aggressive. He set a dynamic up of intimidation and dominance, emotional violence, and extreme emotional abuse and control. I do believe that this sort of behavior precipitated my mother's serious depressive episode. I immediately started struggling with anxiety and depression and underperformed in school. Prior to that, I was an exceptional student. I believed he abused his position of power over me and took advantage of my vulnerability during that period and exerted a damaging degree of control over me that was emotionally abusive. I had a serious relationship during college that helped me realize the negative influence that this had in my life path. I've been at the house after graduation to try to rebuild my life in a different direction. I've dealt with torment on a daily basis, threats of eviction without process, attempts to skirt the law in order to throw me out, including him assaulting me. Now, I understand there isn't much legal precedent for my side of these types of cases, but I can't see how I can get away with this. I'm trying to rebuild my life, staying at the house while I do so. I sought legal counsel, but I largely don't have a legal basis to fight this eviction. The two lawyers I found willing to represent me, I can't afford. I've asked my parents to consider mediation. They've dug in and accused my framework of being evidence of mental illness with no diagnosis. Obviously, it's difficult to ask people in power to recognize their faults. I've sought out different legal representation, but especially given the holidays, it's been slow to find an attorney. To be clear, I don't have a diagnosis besides a degree of anxiety, mostly from the situation. I've also proposed paying rent, which they've rejected. This is really nothing more than a power play consistent with our dynamic. My parents have agreed to a conditional dismissal if I leave by the end of January, but given the perspective outlined above, I really don't believe this is fair. I hope you may consider granting me an adjournment so I can continue to try to build a case and seek mediation and come to an agreement with my parents.
Let me just stop you there.
Yeah.
Do you not want me to enter this conditional order of dismissal? I mean, you signed it, correct?
I did, Your Honor. I understand the ramifications of an eviction on my record, and it wasn't clear to me if I could be able to make a case today.
Say that again?
I wasn't sure if I'd be able to make a case today, and I understand the ramifications of eviction on my record.
Oh, yeah, man. You signed this today.
Yeah, yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor, he both signed it here today and he emailed a signed copy to our office before I showed up with that hard copy. And I'll also just point out to the court and Mr. Grodin, and I don't care whether he makes a statement, but there is no triable issue. He was given a notice to quit. The time period has passed. He has no lease. He has no right to possession. And actually the notice to quit was just done as a precaution. So there's no triable issue. The alternative would be 10 days.
What do you want me to do?
like a judgment to try to, I don't know if it's possible, I'd like to try to seek mediation.
Okay, but you don't have a lease at the premises, correct?
Just a month by month tenancy lease.
Okay. You're given notice to move.
Yes.
What would then happen is that's the alternatives. There are a few alternatives here. One, there could be a judgment entered. One, I could set it for trial if there's something for me to try, even. Or the alternative is a conditional order of dismissal. All right. If you want to hold a trial on it, then I have to make an assessment as to whether or not there's even anything that I could try, anything that I would have to make a finding on. Okay. So everything that you just said to me about your relationship with your parents and all of that, let's assume we went to trial and I found all of that to be true. And again, just assuming that to be the case, because I don't know. But if I listen to all the testimony and I make a finding that everything you're saying is true, I'm still would grant them a judgment on this issue of possession because it doesn't relate to your tenancy. It may relate to your family dynamic. I don't have any doubt about that, but it doesn't relate to the tenancy here. Now, just so that you fully understand, if I make that determination, because right now I see nothing that I could try, nothing that you could call witnesses on that's going to make a bit of difference as to the possession issue. So right now, as we are sitting here today, what you have is I would make the finding in accordance with law that there's no tribal issue. I'd issue a judgment. If I issued that judgment, number one, you'd have a judgment on your record. Number two, it would be 10 days. But because of the holiday, you get to the 16th. The conditional order of dismissal, which it seems to me that you had notice of, send it back to them. It comes in here, you sign it again, gives you to the 31st.
Understood.
So you need, if you don't want me to sign this conditional order of dismissal, I won't sign it. But you need to tell me what you want me to do. I can make a finding right now on this case. Or I can sign this conditional order of dismissal if that's what you want me to do. I'm leaving it to you. What do you want me to do?
Can I ask a follow-up? Is there any case on a basis of torts law, damage done to me by the parent-child dynamic?
Say that last part.
Would there be any basis for a case through torts or personal injury case as it relates to this eviction? Eviction being damages for
what personal injury?
I mean, obviously, the missed opportunity certainly as a result of the dynamic, the mental health issues mostly in high school as a result of the dynamic.
Okay, young man, look. If you're looking to use this case either to receive some type of compensation or something regarding how you perceive your parents may have treated you, or to somehow believe that this court has some power to rectify all of that in some way, that can't happen here.
We'll go with the conditional dismissal. That's okay.
Pardon?
I'll accept the conditional dismissal.
You understand that the terms of the conditional dismissal are that you would vacate the premises by January 31st.
Yes.
And that you would not, if you haven't vacated the premises by that date, that they could seek an order without notice. They could seek the entry of a judgment and an order of eviction to have you removed from the premises.
Yes.
You understand that? All right. And you also understand your rights to 3-day rescission that was explained to you and is contained in here. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Do you have any questions whatsoever regarding anything contained in this conditional order to dismiss?
No.
This file is conditionally dismissed. You can stop out at the front counter and pick up a copy. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.